こんにちは、夏美さん。いらっしゃいませ、おいけです。
大分、引き立ての抹茶をアメリカで。
I'm Mark from Ooika, and right now it's 96 degrees in Okayama, Japan. It is hot, and I need to cool down. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make an iced Americano. Using fresh ground matcha, ice, and water, meaning it has no sugar. It's very healthy for you, and also very delicious. Okay guys, before we get into the video, I need to give you a tour of Life and Coffee. This is my friend's cafe. He's a very good friend of mine. And I guess in this video I could tell you how we met, but maybe I'll save that for another day. I did want to show you what their cafe is. So this used to be an old kendo school. Look at this giant interior space where they used to do, obviously, kendo. And they bought it, turned it into a roastery, and their home is on the top. So what I really want to show you, and here, I'll fix the aperture a bit so you can actually see it. This is where the menu is, and a while ago they had the Ooika and Life and Coffee collaboration menu. The collaboration is over, so no more. So I can't show you it. But the other thing is over here they have the beans. These are the beans that they serve here. So you can actually open these little jars and then smell them. Smells so good. I think that this is a really clever way to get people to understand and, want to drink the different coffee beans. Kind of feels like Pokemon. I want to go and collect each one and try them all. I really love to do that with matcha. It's just, not possible. Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa, I'm
Natsumi-san. She is one of the owners of Life and Coffee. And what's so wonderful about her is she is a master coffee roaster. So my friend Ken doesn't actually do the roasting himself. Natsumi does, and only Natsumi does. And they sell a lot of coffee. I mean, you can see how many different beans they have, and they're always roasting. They also have a very popular coffee YouTube channel that a lot of people obviously buy from. It's one of the perks of having a YouTube channel. What I'm going to do now is break some rules and step over the no boundary, the no crossing boundary. Because there's something that I need to show you, even if I get in trouble, by going back here. This is the giant, beautiful coffee roaster. So every single day when I've been here, Natsumi has been roasting coffee beans. And everything smells wonderful. In fact, look at this. Check this out. These are the green beans, the unroasted coffee beans down there. One last thing to show you is the outside. But it is so hot, I don't want to go. Look at these little coffee damas that are built into the cement, out into the scalding sun. But you can see the kendo dojo behind me. And right here is a fig tree. In the mornings for breakfast, what I've been doing is coming to the fig tree and then eating them. I am a little paranoid though that I'm gonna get one with a wasp inside of it. All right, I think that's enough show and tell for this video. Now it's time to get inside and cool down. I need a iced Americano, specifically an iced matcha Americano, and I'm going to show you exactly how to make it right now. Okay, let's go.
大分だよ。
First, we're going to need matcha, and what matcha should you use? People online will say that you should use ceremonial matcha, and that's fine. Ceremonial isn't really a thing though. It is in the sense that you can find ceremonial matcha. But there's actually no formal grades of matcha. We have a whole video on that. You can check it out in the description below. But the type of matcha that I think you should use is what I call barista matcha. It's matcha that is made specifically for being with milk and sugar. There's a lot of reasons for this. First off is it stands up to milk and sugar. And if you're going to make craft style drinks, such as matcha lattes or matcha Americanos, then you want to use a matcha that's, affordable. Barista matcha is more affordable and it's more bold. It will stand up to everything. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is an Americano, meaning that there's no milk or sugar in it. It's just water and matcha, just like a coffee Americano. So first off, why do you even call it Americano? Wouldn't this just be a matcha? Now it is true that you can, although it's not super classic, get a bowl of matcha where there's an ice cube in it. Cold matcha, really good. But that's not what we're making. We're making an Americano, as in it is a different proportion of matcha to water. A traditional bowl of matcha is meant to be drunk in 3 sips. Because we're going to be diluting this with more than 3 sips worth of water, it's not really a traditional matcha anymore. So that's why I'm using the term Americano. Because we're using different proportions, you want to make sure that you have a matcha that's bold enough to stand up to the fact that it is going to be drowning in water. By the way, if you want to cheat for this, you can just go online to the Ooika website, link below, and check out our barista matcha, which is formulated specifically, blended specifically for these kind of craft, coffee-like drinks. Now you could use more expensive, ceremonial grade matchas. We call our higher end matcha single origin matcha, sort of like single origin scotch or wine, fine specialty matcha. You could do it. I've done it, it's fine. You're just going to be spending a lot more money for a drink that's more diluted, and often the more expensive matchas are less bold, so you kind of lose the flavor anyway, if that makes sense. So I've got my matcha here in this little tin. This tin is very special, by the way. This tin has a little sifter in it. I'll show you. So when I shake it, you can see the matcha sifts out. Sifting matcha is extremely, extremely important. In Japanese tea ceremony, they don't sift it when they make the matcha, so you might think that it's unsifted, but it's actually sifted before it even comes out into the tea room. All matcha needs to be sifted. I don't care how you do it, use whatever tool you want, but if you don't sift it, you're gonna get clumps, which just don't taste good. First thing I'm gonna do is take a bowl. You don't need to use a bowl. You can just take a shaker cup, like protein powder shaker, and shake it, make it in there, it's fine. But I'm using a matcha bowl, and this is a specific one called a katakuchi. Kata means side, like it's on the side of the bowl, and kuchi means mouth. So this makes it nice because you can make your matcha in here and then pour it into your glass, and it's a lot less messy. The amount of matcha I'm gonna add is about 2 grams. And the best way to do this is actually via a scale. If you're new to making matcha and you always get like clumps, you need to sift more, but if you're not getting foam, the reason is probably because you have the wrong ratio of water to matcha. That's why using a scale is so important. I almost spilled all of this, by the way, in that shot. But because I make matcha for a living, I have somewhat of a sense for how much matcha I'm putting in. In fact, you guys want to test me? Should I put this on the scale and see how much matcha is in here? All right, let's see. Here we go. A little bit over, but not too bad. I'll take it. Okay, so take 2 or 2.4 grams of matcha. You're going to put it into your bowl. And then the amount of water you're going to add is anywhere from 30 to 40, 45 milliliters of water. You can do a little bit more, but what I found is, especially if you're new to making matcha, if you put a little bit less in, then it's easier to get foamy and frothy, which, by the way, you don't need. Matcha doesn't have to be foamy and frothy. Also, before we move on, this is my whisk. I'm gonna wet this with hot water before we even jump to the next step. I'm gonna do that off camera. All right, got my bowl of matcha, 2.4 grams. Gonna put in my water. I'm gonna do this by eye, but again, at home, try to aim for around 40 milliliters of water. This isn't boiling, by the way. It's about 75 degrees Celsius. And I'm not gonna pour it directly in the middle of the matcha. I'm gonna kind of go around the side. I'm gonna take my whisk. I'm gonna kind of gently scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl. I'm not whisking. All I'm doing is breaking up any clumps. You guys want some of that ASMR? The idea here is to go backwards and forwards, trying not to scrape the bottom of the bowl. Otherwise, you could break off the tips. These are already kind of goofed up. I'll do a video on when you need to get rid of these. The answer would be probably now. So we'll go backwards and forwards. I don't need any fancy technique. You don't need to make W's or H's or O's, or it's actually easier if you're not in a seated position like this. It's easier to whisk where you're standing up and the bowl is below you like this. I don't want to stare at my crotch for the next 2 minutes, so I'll do it down here. And the idea here is we're cutting the bubbles as we go backwards and forwards. And once we do it for however long it's been, you'll notice that you get like a nice crema on top, sort of like an espresso. Well, I'll hide my face, see that? Matcha's ready. Let's go ahead and get our water glass filled with ice and water. Once we get our glass filled up with water, you want to make sure you leave enough room at the top to put your matcha in. This is too high, so I'm going to do what we do at Ooika at our physical shop and just drink a little off the top. I'm kidding, chat, don't click that. Now, simply enough, we're just going to pour it on top. Look at that. Tell me that doesn't look beautiful. The one negative about iced Americanos, matcha Americanos, if there is one, is the fact that the second you pour it in, it all diffuses. It doesn't layer the same way a matcha latte does, where you get that like beautiful milk and then green on top, but I don't think it needs it. Let's give it a try. Oh. It's so good, so refreshing. And it won't burn you the same way that a coffee Americano will. So smooth, so clean, there's no bitterness or astringency. And even when you're using a more affordable matcha like this, you don't get that bitterness and astringency you'd get if you drank it like this because it's so diluted with all of the water.
Ooika だよ。
All right, one note and caveat to everything that I just said. When it comes to ceremonial grade matcha, especially more expensive ones, once you start getting around $40, $50 and up for a jar of 20 to 30 grams, it's more likely, especially if it's from Japan, that that matcha was ground in a stone mill. And with a drink like this, that makes a huge difference. The reason is texture. See, when you stone mill matcha, it gets so fine, 5 microns, basically smoother than baby powder, that your tongue can't detect the individual particles. If you want to find that out for yourself, just take some baby powder, mix it with water and try. But it does make a massive difference, and when you have matcha that is cheaper, which they might call culinary grade or lower grade, it's probable that they don't use a stone mill to make it, because frankly, it just doesn't make any sense at all to stone mill a grade of matcha you're going to be using to put into like your brownies and cakes and cookies. So there is some reasonability to the idea of using what's marketed as ceremonial matcha for your matcha Americanos and even lattes. The problem is though, a lot of times, especially the more cheap ceremonial matcha is not made in a stone mill at all. Stone milling is extremely slow and extremely expensive. Most producers just cut corners, and with barista or culinary grade matcha, the probability of finding one that's stone milled is, I would say, Ooika out of a million. I say that because Ooika stone mills 100% of the matcha we sell, even this matcha. So yeah, a little bit of an advertisement, but it is pretty amazing to get a affordable matcha that you can drink every single day, like you would with coffee, and have it be stone milled. If you get matcha that's not stone milled, what you're gonna find right away is in your mouth, it's gonna be like a little bit sandy or a little bit gritty. It's not very pleasant, to be honest, at least in my mind. But the advantage of it is that it's really cheap. This is really the perfect summer drink. You're not gonna get like those crashes, just as I'm gonna say crashes to crash here. You're not gonna get any major crashes. And there's really good reasons behind that. You can watch my video right here on L-theanine, which is a chemical component that is in matcha that is responsible for the calming effect and also the savoriness. L-theanine is an all tea, but it's in its highest concentrations in matcha because in matcha you're not actually drinking tea, you're eating it. Let's have Natsumi try. Hold on. Is this matcha Americano just happy to see me, or what is going on?
いただきます。美味しい。美味しいです。ありがとうございます。ごちそうさまです。
That wraps it up for today. Appreciate you watching. If you want more matcha videos like this, matcha tutorials, instructions, history, and also meeting the farmers themselves, be sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate you. Hope you have a fantastic day. And remember, if you're a coffee drinker, leave your dirt, come over to the green side. See you there. Sorry, I know you like coffee.
Ooika です。